we begin, you may like to gather together one or two things to include in this memorial. A candle, perhaps, which you can light as I light this candle beside me on the table. Or a photo, perhaps, of the person that you are remembering. Or any other memento or keepsake that you feel would be appropriate to have with you at this time. As I open the service, I'd like to acknowledge that we are filming this on Dja Dja Wurrung country. And I'd like to pay my respects to the Jara people, their elders, past and present. They hold the memories, the traditions, the stories and dreams of all their people. I also want to acknowledge the many other elders that are with us today, from all walks of life. I pay my respect to your wisdom, your experiences, your stories, and your wisdom. I'd also like to draw attention to an important name change that you might notice as this service unfolds. Perhaps you're already aware, but over the past few years, Dhelkaya Health has merged with Malden Hospital and CHIRP to create a new overarching health service for the whole Mount Alexander Shire. This new service is called Dhelkaya Health, and Dhelkaya means good or being healthy in the Dja Dja Wurrung language. The choice of an Indigenous name recognises that we live, work, rest and grow on land that has been cared for by the Jara people for tens of thousands of years. The name expresses a sense of gratitude and indebtedness. So welcome to this 2023 Dhelkaya Health Memorial Service. My name is Keenan Sutherland and I'm the Pastoral Care Coordinator here at Dhelkaya Health. As with previous years, we're not able to offer this service on the hospital grounds, not with COVID still swirling through our community. On the surface, this might seem like a great shame, but in fact we've learnt over the past few years that offering the service this way allows many, many more people to participate. So once again, we're filming this at Buddha, the historic house and garden at the heart of Castlemaine. And we encourage you to let your extended family and friends know that this film is available wherever and whenever it suits them. So this service is explicitly for family, for friends, staff, volunteers and community members who have lost a loved one over the past 6 to 18 months. Some of these loved ones were residents at Dhelkaya Health. Others were patients. Some were respite, palliative or transitional care clients. All of them were dear to us, and we are gathered like this to honour them and remember them. As I say this, I'm conscious that there are many different kinds of relationships. We come from all walks of life to gather here today. We are husbands, wives, partners, former partners, children, stepchildren, grandchildren, siblings, relatives through marriage, parents, friends, and neighbours. Our feelings on a day like today are as varied as the relationships I've just named. None of us will come here today feeling just the same as anybody else. All of our feelings are unique, and many of them too difficult or deeply felt to be neatly put into words. However, I want to recognise that all of us are here because a gap has opened up in our lives. A gap that is not going to be filled by lovely words. Sharing this moment is all about recognising and honouring what we have lost so that a new way of living and being in the world can be found. I'd now like to place the Dhelkaya Health memorial book on the table beside me. In this book are all the names of those who have died, not just last year, but in previous years as well. I place this book in the awareness that other people and indeed other feelings and losses may come to light as this service unfolds. And I want to honour those feelings and memories too. They are welcome here. Now, if you have a candle at home, now is the time to light it as I light the candle here beside me. Candles are an ancient symbol of light, insight, and healing. They show that in the midst of darkness, in the midst of sorrow, in the midst of private griefs and struggles, and in waves of stress and worry and change, we find our way. We can see in the dark. So I'll light this candle as perhaps you light yours. If you have any objects or keepsakes with you that you may have found earlier, now is also the time to place them where you can see them if you haven't done this already. Before we go any further, I'd like to offer a poem by the American poet Raymond Carver. It's one that explores the powerful and unexpected ways that grief changes us. When we lose someone, particularly somebody that we love, we begin to see things differently. And things that once seemed strange begin to take on new meanings. So here is the poem. Woke up early this morning and from my bed looked far across the strait to see a small boat moving through choppy water, a single running light on. Remembered my friend who used to shout his dead wife's name from hilltops around Perugia, who set a plate for her at his simple table long after she was gone, and opened the windows so she could have fresh air. Such display I found embarrassing. So did his other friends. I couldn't see it. Not until this morning. We've all woken up this morning to the reality of our loss. What we couldn't see before, we can now see. In a moment, I will read the names of those who have requested to be included in this memorial service. These were people who worked hard, made homes, perhaps married and raised families. They had ambitions and hopes, disappointments and delights, difficulties, hobbies, and eccentric traits. They were complex, interesting, often remarkable individuals. Some were known to us over our entire lives. Others we met more recently. No matter how we encountered them, they touched us in ways that we won't forget. So I'll begin by reciting a group of names and then ring a bell. As each bell sounds, you may like to simply sit quietly, breathe, and remember. So I'll go to recite the names now. We remember Doris Rice, Marshall Webb, Barbara Davis, Adelaide Hawes, and Mary Edwards. Rob McMeekin, Ruth Baig, Joy Palmer, Betty Stevenson, Lynn Lobb, Loretto Kelly, Eddie Marr, Gwen Osborne, Faye Hungerford, Eileen Ramsey. Jean Graspy, Lynn McDonald, Val Schroeder, Les Finnemore, Dot Llewellyn. Noel Simpson, Greg Keogh, Kay Brownthorne, Estelle Watts, Edna Shea. Lil Feary, Jeremy Ashton, Lester Tricky, Norman Bromley, Mary Willis. Russell Lotes, Glenn Sampson, Mark Robertson, Wendy Keel, Michael Tregenza. Margaret Higgins, Tony Nesbitt, Sheridan Stevens, Lama Payne, Stanley Gilbert. Jean Harper, Anne Greswell, Faye Carey, Jeffrey Irvine, Edward Gollings. Shelley Kay, Peter Fry, Diane Edwards, Marion Rennie, Dwayne Marshall. Thelma Wilkinson, Glenys Williams, Elaine Duxbury, Ian Wrightshaw, Norman Corrie. Joyce Tate, Ronald Duncan, Michael O'Grady, Jim Smith, Jeanette Hawkins. Alec Taylor, Beryl Allen, Margaret Hynam Smith, Patricia Petchia, Rhonda Rogers. Norma Cusack, Wilma Allen, Shirley Sweeting, Peter Bodley, Neville Baker. Rodney Bennell, Lawrence Brown, Jean Cunningham, Christine Fothergill, Donald Gregory. Georgina Kontos, Nancy Leeson, Donald Martin, Barry Maxwell, Felicity Moylan. Kenneth Noble, John Pietkowski, Deborah Price, Glenn Sutherland, Spencer Tunks. Clyde Urquhart, Joe Wedgwood, and John Williams. I will now offer a period of silent reflection, just a moment or two, for you to give thanks in any way that feels genuine and authentic to you. I'll ring the bell again to open up this period of silence, and then ring the bell once more to close it off. We're now coming to the end of our service. I'm not a big fan of the word closure, and I think I'm even less fond of the phrase moving on. The reality of grief is far more penetrating and mysterious than that. In his novel-length poem, Grief is the Thing with Feathers, Max Porter writes about a young father who was struggling to come to terms with his wife's death. As he plummets into grief, he suddenly discovers that a giant crow has taken up residence in his living room and won't budge. It lies on the couch, eats his food, plays with his children, squawks and caws, and teases him mercilessly. At first he's furious. How dare a giant crow take up residence in my living room? But Crow calmly explains that it will stay until it isn't needed anymore. So the father must learn to live with this dark presence, which he does, until one day, quite spontaneously, he says to himself, moving on as a concept is for stupid people. because any sensible person knows that grief is a long-term project. I refuse to rush. The pain that is thrust upon us, let no man slow or speed or fix up. It's after this that Crow announces that it is leaving. The father is shocked. So, I'm done grieving? No, not at all, says Crow. You're done being hopeless. Grieving is something you are still doing and something you don't need a crow for. So hopelessness vanishes. But grief continues its work, its tender, intelligent, compassionate work, which is utterly natural and utterly human. My hope is that in watching this today, we've offered you something valuable. Recognition, perhaps, of the significance and complexity of your own grief. A time to simply sit still and reflect. It's possible that just a little more space has opened up, a small clearing from which it might be possible to breathe a little easier and take your next step. If watching this has raised any difficult emotions for you, please reach out to somebody that you trust, like a friend or your local GP. There will be some bereavement support contacts displayed at the end of this film for your reference. It's important to know that there are many others watching this now who, like you, know what it's like to love and lose and step into a wider world. I want to thank the people that helped make this film possible. In particular, Danny Moore, Janine McCarthy, and Miles Bennett. You've all been very generous with your time and your skills, and I'm very grateful. To close, I'm going to read a poem by Wendell Berry. This one's called The Peace of Wild Things. I think it's a lovely poem because it encourages us to stay close to the peace of wild things. It reminds us that no matter how hard things get, no matter how difficult or dark, there is always a place to rest. Here is the poem. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Thank you for being part of this 2023 Dhelkaya Health Memorial Service.